to have you with us as race 2 continues. Round 3 of the Vodka O Australian GT Championship. This is the fight for 4th place, Warren Love. 4th being held by Dean Grant and being chased here by Tony Quinn.
And this is a car that Tony Quinn knows very well. Dean's actually leasing this car from Tony, and this car is actually the car that Tony campaigned at the Clipsal event.
Dean Grant, of course, part of the Vodka O superbly run 2-car outfit, and we put them under the spotlight at this round.
Vodka are a small company that are just great brands, organic products, and they wanted to get out nationally, and so they wanted to be up the front. So I had to find Peter Hackett so we could get up the front on the podium.
Dean Grant and I hooked up late last year. We had a bit of an agreement. He was driving a Lamborghini as well. His teammate had moved on to an Audi, and he decided that it'd be nice to have a 2-car Lamborghini team. You know, together we would work together. We'd share setup. You know, he could use my information, maybe some of my experience to help himself go faster, and the team would benefit from that. And, you know, Dean had an opportunity to race a Moser, and he's grabbed that for Grand Prix and again this weekend. So it's a little bit sad in that we're not a 2-car Lamborghini team, but Vodka O's represented at the front of the field now with a Lambo and a Moser.
Driving the Moser is not as compliant as a Lamborghini. It's more of a race car. The Lamborghini was sort of 50% road car still, so it is a bit more difficult to drive. But and that's why in the wet I think we're finding it a little slower. But in the dry it's a very fast car, and you know, on the Phillip Island and the Grand Prix and that, the fast-flowing tracks, it should be really good with all the aero.
I don't think you can ever articulate what it's like behind the wheel, but I remember as a boy having a poster on the wall that said decisions, decisions, decisions. It had a Ferrari Testarossa, it had a Porsche 959, and it had a Countach. And I remember watching Cannonball Run, movies like that, where you see these iconic supercars that are just dream machines. So to be able to take a supercar by pure definition and put it in the environment that it was really designed for is something very, very special. It does everything really well. It's not a modified road car. It's not, you know, a Commodore that you put a big engine in and put a common diff in and different aero package. This is a car that the factory designed, the factory built, and it was designed to do everything that it does very well in general road conditions. So by putting a cage in and putting it on the track, making it a few small adaptations, this is the environment they were born for.
While Hackett fights for the outright lead in GT Championship, Warren watching some action here in the GT Challenge.
Here we see the Hallmark Developments Porsche of Michael Locasano and Mark Sini. Gets a run down the inside. Paul Tressiter there on the outside, does the smart thing and gives way.
And the watching brief for Paul Freestone in the Corvette in the background. Good drive off turn 1, the former truck racer and NASCAR driver, and he picks up a position running down into turn 2. Nicely done.
Great action from the Donut King on board. Here we see Tony Quinn coming in for his compulsory pit stop.
Well, what will Tony do? Is he just going to sit it out for the minimum time for his compulsory pit stop? Was chasing very hard. Good fight with Dean Grant for 4th place. We see another of these magic Moslers on circuit.
Ash Samadi's been a long-time campaigner in GT racing, formerly in a Porsche, has made the switch to the Moser and is absolutely loving the experience of the Moser.
This car is a thoroughbred in so many respects, isn't it? Here is another one now. Peter Hackett, 2nd position at the moment, and we're getting word from pit lane that in the early laps, he's broken the lap record, but starting as Eddie peels off into pit lane, starting to struggle with those rear tyres, whether they're over-temperatured or over-pressured, some sort of problem for Hackett kicking in.
Well, as we said early on, these guys that pitted very early, it will be interesting to see how it plays out for the length of the race. The guys that pitted early didn't elect to take tyres. The guys that maybe do the stop a bit later, they'll have the option of doing a tyre stop. They might have a fresher car come the end of the race.
Keith Wong there in the 74 entry, just being passed by Kevin Weeks, the South Australian. Very good with his tarmac rally experience. Eddie completes the pit stop. And back with our race leader, Wall, who has been largely off the radar, but doing a tremendous job leading from the front.
He's really stretched this lead out over 2nd place there, Peter Hackett. And as he said, it's going to be interesting to see who's been able to conserve their tyres. And you can certainly see the pace that David Wall's showing here in this latter part of the race. Mark Eddy comes charging out of the pits down here to turn 2. Peter Hackett down the outside, denies him 2nd place. But the interesting thing's going to be, is Mark Eddy going to have enough pace to be able to take 2nd position off Peter Hackett?
Certainly looks good at the moment. Back in front. This is the Porsche GT3 Cup S in the hands of the 2009 champion. Second outright in the Bathurst 12 Hour. Won his class there. He's been racing in Asia and part of the Wilson Security racing team as we profile Mark Eddy. Fast Eddy currently in third, but looking for that second position. 14th in round one, 6th in round two of the championship.
You can start to see the Lamborghini there of Peter Hackett is starting to move around. Those rear tyres are definitely starting to go away.
So this is the driver stop happening here for the Flack brothers. Damien and Adrian have been sharing this car, so they're taking advantage in the minimum 60 seconds to change drivers, and you're going to have a fresh driver getting in for the second stint.
Back on track, the battle continues with Peter Hackett and Mark Eddy. Coming around here onto the straight, those tyres on the Lamborghini are definitely starting to get worse for wear. It'll be interesting to see if Mark Eddy can take some kind of advantage. Speaking of taking advantage, the two Moslers, Tony Quinn has a look down the inside. Dean Green gets pushed out wide. It'll be interesting to see, can Tony Quinn get the run down the straight?
Both of these guys have raced at events like the Nürburgring 24 Hour. They've raced in Dubai, and it seems as though Tony Quinn has been able to get the power to the ground out of turn 12. He moves ahead of Dean Grant.
He certainly gets the run there into turn one. Makes it look nice and easy, but now he's got to go defensive down here into turn two. Will Dean Grant have a look down the inside? Probably not quite close enough, but you can see there, Tony runs a little bit wide, but it looks like he's definitely got him covered.
Back in pit lane, a drama for one of the Corvettes. This is Barry Nesbitt, I think. Let's just listen here.
Hold the red button, mate.
These Corvettes run a very sophisticated fly-by-wire throttle system. It sounds like there's maybe some kind of an issue there that it's not allowing the car to rev. Obviously the mechanics are trying to see what they can do to fix that, but we'll have to wait and see.
In the meantime, Peter Hill picks up a spot there in the Lamborghini, moving ahead of Tony Alford. And the Nissan GTR R35, the latest spec Nissan GTR. Hackett doing a tremendous job here to fend off Mark Eddy, and all the while that is helping Tony Quinn to close up. Three different classes represented here. At the front in the Corvette, of course, you have GT Production. In the middle, we have GT Challenge. And look, coming through, Honduras in the 997 Cup S. And this is where that car, Warren, will stretch its legs.
It certainly will. It's been a huge drive from the back of the grid. You can see Mark Seni's not willing to give that up too soon, but certainly the power of the Cup S down the straight is really what gives him the advantage.
Now, on the way to the break, some recognition for our official charity at this round and at Bathurst, the Telstra Child Flight Helicopter, helping young children and babies since 1989.
We provide an emergency critical care service for children and babies in New South Wales. There are only 2 intensive care facilities in New South Wales and 8 neonatal. So if a child presents at a hospital outside of those particular hospitals, then we fly a clinical crew in, give them the intensive care they need and fly them back to the relevant hospital. It's set up fully as an intensive care bed for children and babies. It's the only one that's set up specifically for that in the Southern Hemisphere. So that means they can get everything they need that they would get in an intensive care bed while they're in flight.
It's an amazingly satisfying job. Most of the time we get to help and see the joy in children and the parents' faces when we arrive and fly them to care. And you know, they're mostly happy stories. And it's great when the patients come back to see us afterwards and, you know, they're well and jumping around and you read the stories of, you know, how we've made a difference, and that really is cool. Awareness is key for us. You know, we're a pretty small service doing a huge job, and the more people that know about us and can help us, you know, achieve our goals, that's a great thing.